Just like a Pokemon evolving, Brock Purdy is evolving from a babyface quarterback into a babyface quarterback with the kid. But in all seriousness, while Purdy has been out the majority of the season, in his first real action back against the Cardinals, I would argue we not only saw the old quarterback we know and love, but a better one. On George Kittle's touchdown grab, for instance, he was able to change the play pre-snap based on his identification of man coverage, which allowed him to place it only where George Kittle could get it, and for a 30-yard touchdown. And while this isn't completely uncharacteristic for Brock Purdy, it does show that he just continues to get more comfortable in Shanahan's offense in a similar way Brady got more comfortable with Belichick over time. And the stats also reflect this, as Purdy had his 11th career game with a passer rating of at least 130 against the Cardinals, which is the most of any quarterback in the modern era during his first 4 seasons. So in this video, we're going to go over how the last pick in the draft continues to defy odds by evolving as a quarterback. To start to highlight this point, like Brady, Purdy's best skill is his mind and ability to identify what the defense is doing pre and post snap. To really illustrate this point, here on George Kittle's touchdown grab, Purdy is able to identify the 5-man front from the Cardinals defense, and because of this motion and no one following him hard on the defensive line, he knows most likely this 5-man front is coming with man coverage on the back half. So rather than handing off to Christian McCaffrey, which is most likely the play right here, Brock Purdy decides to do the smartest thing on this play and spread out this defense so he's able to choose his matchup. And speaking of his matchups on this play, he has his outer wide receivers here running little curl routes, then you have George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey essentially running wheel routes, and then you have Juwan Jennings running an in-breaking route. Meanwhile, the Cardinals on this play, as I was alluding to, are in man coverage with single safety help over the top. So unsurprisingly, Purdy wants to go to his Hall of Fame tight end in George Kittle. But rather than looking just right his direction, he gets this safety to commit to the top of the screen by staring down the top of the screen. And the safety's commitment there allows enough separation for Brock Purdy to work with, so even with the pressure in his face, Purdy doesn't back out of this throw, but rather places it only where George Kittle can get it and really showcases why San Francisco has so much faith in him. To further highlight Purdy's ability to read the defense pre and post snap, once again, this pre-snap motion helps Purdy determine that this defense most likely is in zone coverage on this play, and most likely it's going to be cover 3 because this cornerback is playing pretty far off right here. And then post snap, you can see how this safety is rotating towards the middle of the field and the cornerback is taking the vacancy left by him. This type of play though does have some clear weaknesses, and you can see it starting to develop right here, but Purdy knew this before this was even obvious to the audience at home. And that's because pre-snap, he knew his routes were taking advantage of this cover 3 matchup. Pearsall on this play, for instance, is running a streak towards the top half of the screen and even top third at that, which clears out this cornerback, and with that cornerback cleared out, he has Juwan Jennings coming free on this little corner route. So while this may seem as easy as hitting the open man on this play, it really all starts because Purdy understands what the defense is running, and then he understands how his offense can take advantage of this defensive matchup. Another way Purdy has evolved in Shanahan's system is his ability to understand which players most likely will be out of position on a set play and then attacking them relentlessly. Here with the Cardinals defense in man coverage, for instance, and San Francisco's offense bunched up and running a bench pattern, he understands that this defensive back could be out of position, and right here he is. So without any hesitation, Purdy is quick to recognize this and then finds this little route to use check, not looking for the bigger option on this play because he realizes all of this space will get him plenty, and it does. It's also worth noting that Purdy has continued to grow as an improvising quarterback in San Francisco's offense, which is especially helpful when you have players like George Kittle and CMC out there. To highlight this point, here on CMC's touchdown grab, you might think this was the design play, but according to McCaffrey, it wasn't, as he noticed this congestion caused by George Kittle, so rather than breaking inwards, he broke outwards. Brock Purdy also noticed it and found McCaffrey for the touchdown touchdown, which I guess not only showcases his improv nature, but also the chemistry he's built with his team. Another aspect of Purdy's game I really like to see out of a quarterback is his ability to stay cool under pressure, especially in big time moments. To really illustrate this point, here on 3rd and 15, even though the Cardinals have pretty decent penetration on this play, Purdy isn't really too concerned about that, but rather identifies Christian McCaffrey coming free on the comeback pattern and delivers an excellent throw while also spinning away from this defensive lineman's pressure to protect himself. And speaking about protecting himself, this is another way in which Purdy has really grown in Shanahan's system. He's not just protecting himself, he's also protecting the ball. Like right here, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be maybe a pass to Demarcus Robinson or potentially a quarterback run, but rather than trying to fit into Robinson or maybe even run right here, he does the smart thing and just gives up this play, making sure he stays healthy and the ball stays protected. Another notable improvement in Purdy's game is his ability to sell the defense on these play action passes. I mean, right here, he's literally changing the hand he has the ball in mid-snap to really sell that he is handing it off to Christian McCaffrey, and initially on this play, it really looks like he does hand off to Christian McCaffrey. And Purdy further sells this by almost hiding the ball right here, which is why this entire Cardinals defense is closing in hard on Christian McCaffrey, and this creates a ton of separation for George Kittle to work with, and Purdy once again finds the open man. All of this isn't to say Brock Purdy is the perfect quarterback for all systems, but he might be the perfect quarterback for Shanahan's system, and as a 25-year-old quarterback, I think he's only improving and going to get better, especially with the mistakes he makes. That's because Purdy isn't the biggest arm quarterback, and he's never been the fastest quarterback, but he has routinely been one of the smartest quarterbacks in the game and has enough athleticism and arm strength to not only keep the defense guessing, but also pick up major plays on the defense, especially when you mix in his gunslinger mentality. Like here, he's able to pick up a massive gain to Juwan Jennings because he's not afraid to let this fly even though there's a defender right in his face. As much as I like Purdy, I do think a fair thing to wonder about him as a player is if he's able to remain healthy long term for Kyle Shanahan. He is a smaller player and has dealt with several key injuries in his young NFL career, but if he is able to remain healthy, I think he has the potential to be one of the most dominant quarterbacks for some years to come for Kyle Shanahan. But ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts on Brock Purdy returning against the Cardinals and how he's continued to evolve in his 4th year, and I want to hear your thoughts about the 25-year-old quarterback down below. Do you think he's reached his full potential, or do you think he's continued developing like I do entering his 4th year? It would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video. If you could go ahead and like and subscribe, it truly helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.